Hello, I'm Whisper. This is Dyson Sphere program. We are back in Sandbox mode. And whoops, missed this bit. What we're going to be looking at is, having a little talk about, is smelting at various stages of the game. Now, smelting does change quite a bit, and there are 4 things that cause the changes. So let's look at them. We start off with the belts. When we start out, we can only get 6 items a second on a belt, which obviously limits the length of our smelting columns. Then we upgrade to 12 items, and then 30 items, and then eventually we get all stacked high, which is 120 items, but that's essentially the after game. So that's the first part. The second part is the sorters that we can use, and that is obviously how much can be moved off the belt every second. And eventually we can get these as well, the pile sorters, where we can stack them for high again. That is, again of course, late game. Now, one of the things of course is it doesn't matter how good your sorter is. If you've only got that much of a belt, you're only putting that much on it. End of story. Sorry, the 6 on it. Third part is the arc smelters, plain smelters, and the dark bulk negentropy smelters. Just how fast things can be refined. And the last thing is stacking technology with the planetary or interstellar logistics. Again, late game, end of game technology. Now, so actually what we'll do is we'll get a few of these belts, a few of these. We've got these. We may as well just use these. So, early game. You can only get 6 items on a belt. And depending on what we're smelting, the 3 early game items, smelters, the iron ingot, copper ingot, and magnet. Those are the early ones. Since we can only get a certain number on the belt, that's pretty much all you're going to start off with. That's the size. Size for iron, I should say. Size for copper. But when it comes to our magnetic coils, oops, they're actually slower. They take 1.5 seconds to do one, instead of 1 second and 1 second. Since they're 1.5 seconds, that's 1.5 times the number of smelters. And the little gap is just quick and easy place to put a power pole to power it all. We don't actually have to do that. We could essentially do this. It's or is it 9 rather than 6? There's 1.5. Oops. There, we do that. And we say put down that, and one in the middle. And then we can do another belt or something on the outside. Next side would just be like this. Chopped a little, trimmed a little too much there. And that's a good another way of powering things too. Just personal preference. The good thing about Dyson Sphere is that we are all totally free to do what we want to do. Experiment and play. Now of course once we get to green belts we can go twice as far. Well, I suppose there's actually one more thing thinking about it. When it comes to smelting, and that is obviously how much you can get on the belt. We only have the 2 smelting machines and this one's pretty much in game. So this one for 6 smelters. Alright, in a nutshell, as long as you cover 6 nodes with one of these, you can power or get enough ore for 3 mining machines, or essentially 4.5 if it comes to the magnetic magnets. That's interesting. So at this point, these is 2 mining machines covering 6 ore nodes each. These are 4 mining machines covering 6 nodes each. Otherwise, pretty much the same. Now, the next one, once we get to blue belts, and I always think people should get to blue belts very quickly. Well, once they've got them, they should definitely switch over to them. These can take a maximum of 30 in and a maximum of 30 going back. And as you can see, that's quite a long one. Just throw that down there so it doesn't blink us to death. Where are we? There. So out, back in. And this is pretty much what a lot of people do. However, it's really worth experimenting. I'll show you why right now. So let's just go a little bit crazy. We'll just go here. No, actually, let's do something else. What we'll do is this, and then this. This is once you get up to Mark II or Mark III sorters. This is just a personal preference. I mean, like I say, feel free to play. That's what the whole game's about. So in, out, in, out. There you are. The whole length of that. And then we can just copy paste. And go, oh yeah, we actually want to do bopper for this one. Whoops. That's how easy that can be. Now note I've only done talked about the first 3 of the base items. So let's start talking about some of the others. One of the ones you'll get to is steel. And as you can see, it takes 3 seconds and takes 3 chunks of iron. So perhaps when we're starting out, we might start out with something like this. Or actually, let's just make this a little bit different. We'll just say early game one. Let's make a little bit of space here. Bit more space, I think. Sorry, I'm just... we'll say that these are Mark 1 sorters. I'm just too lazy to turn around and get them. So then we might go, the next one is... let's make the steel. Then what comes out might go here. And just make sure we pattern it up. So let's just check. 3 seconds and 3 iron. So 6 iron a second. Divide by 3 is 2 steel a second coming out. This would be perhaps an early start. Yeah, this would be the early game. Now, let's say another option here. Oh, apparently I need a few more of these for examples. Alright, so let's say... what's a good idea? I know what's a good one. Another possibility is this. Once we get to say Mark 2 sorters, or Mark 3, we'll just run that to there. Apologies, I'm just getting my brain in order. Then we might go, oh yeah, we'll take you off. Put you there, put you there. Or even better. Like so. And if we go here and here. Everything is covered. Actually, let's just prove that by coming in here and here. All the sorters are covered. All the smelters are covered, so they all have power. 6 iron a second to 2 steel a second. And of course, once we get to green or blue belts, we can get a pretty long chain just like that. We can do similar with another earlier item, energetic graphite. Now let's come up with a little one here. What's the best way to do this? Possibly I just come down like this. That's the output belt, and this is another input belt. Just bear with me here. Probably could do with one there and one there. Actually, let's just make that there. So what we have here, this is because the energetic graphite takes 2 seconds to make one. That's fine. So normally you'd be pulling in 6 coal a second and out would come, divide by 2 is 3 graphite a second. Put one here on the other side. Essentially you've got the same added. So that's 6 and 6 is 12 in and 6 out. Doesn't have to be graphite, it can be stone brick is just 1 second. Glass is another early material, very early. 2 seconds to make one. This sort of thing works if you want to fill a belt with glass. Other items, same or similar. That, titanium, silicon. What else do we have? Crystal silicon. What other items do we have that would be considered base items? I think that's it. Everything else is a little more advanced than just ore. Oh, here's an interesting one. Yeah, silicon ore. Essentially, you can do the same for silicon ore with this. However, it takes 10 seconds. So this one has 12 smelters, divide by 10 is 1.2 silicon ore. That's why you only use it in the very beginning of the game. It's a real trickle feed job. Yeah, once you develop something on another planet, yeah, take with that recipe, throw it in the bin and forget about it. So that's those. Now, I think that's fairly much all of it. Oh. As we get further along, of course, let's put some pile sorters here. Once we get to late game or after game, we can upgrade all those to pile sorters, push it way long, or just have a bunch of planes sorters, sorry, plane smelters. That is 60 a second. We do it again. That's 90 a second. 90 a second. Remember, this is 90 a second coming in, 90 a second coming out. So they do make it's like a game changer. I remember back before plane filters, plane smelters existed, and these things were often huge long arrays just to get all we could with a single set of belts. Then these came along, game changer, everything half size, and now these are in, again game changer, definitely. However, the game changer is a little different than what we might think. Let me give an example. This would actually make a very good example. So what we'll do is we will put down less. This is just for illustration. Let's give it a bit of thing there. And let's, whoops. Oh yeah, that's actually quite handy. Oof. I am way off center. Let's get a few more of these. Let's do this again. Be a little more professional about it, eh? Or try and be. And let's upgrade everything here. In-game build, say. So we might have, oh, let's see, this again. Iron ore, copper ore. And we might just go, yeah, alright, here we come. Top one's iron. Then we have copper. Now, remembering that we're doing 90 a second of each, we can actually, it might help if you tell it to take the return, eh? That's better. We can fill these up pretty quick at 90 a second. And you do the math, that's 900 every 10 seconds, multiplied by 6 is 5,400 a minute. And you can see less than 30 seconds we're just filling that baby up. That's great. It's actually really good. Until you get to a point where, okay, let's really fill this baby up. Ultra fast. I better clean out some space. And problem is, we start getting to the point where we are making it so fast that our drones can't move it. Which is honestly a pretty good problem to have, but yeah. So here's yet another thing to think about. So a potential solution, I'm not saying this is the smartest thing to do, your mileage may vary, is to we'll just let that drain a bit. What we can do is put it into another PLS, which will be sort of dedicated. Probably should have put that a little further away actually. Oh. Turn the belts. Because otherwise then let them drain into there. We take this out of here. Only care about that. And at this point, we only have to worry about how fast can we put it in here, all, and then how fast can we pull it out of here, as in the finished slabs. And essentially that doubles the throughput for both in a way. But even better, we can say I want to do something with this. What should we use? Let's use a dark bulk toy. Wait, what am I doing here? Oh, I don't have any. That would help, wouldn't it? Alright. Let's do that to there, out to there. Let's make, say, circuits. Now normally, on a Mark II, that would make 20, 40 a second, so long as we could put in 40 iron a second and 20 copper a second. Let's go a little bit further even, say. Do a good amount. Let's say we just go down to here. And this can help solve some issues just by building it directly to where you want to put it. So straight from smelter into storage, straight from storage into your assembly machines, and then into another storage. So what I'll do is I'll set this so it doesn't blink like mad and we aren't driven crazy. I think that we will. Oops, paste. Put you there. And now, here's the output. Did not do what I need it to do. Straight into storage. Excellent. So let's just put on we'll use pile smelters, it's pile sorters. But like I said, normally they mark 30 of these would make 60. A Mark II assembler would make 60. Because we have 30 machines, they make 2 circuit boards each every second. But since we're going at triple speed, that is actually 180, and it won't fit on a single belt, which is why we have 90 on either side. And the reality is that this won't actually fit at all, because we would have to have 180 coming out here, and we can only put 120 on the belt. So, I did not realise that when I did this example, which makes typical sense for me. Don't think it through, eh? Now let's clear this away, because we're going to have to do... Actually, we're going to do quite a bit of mucking around. Let's rebuild that from scratch. What we'll have is we will have copper out the middle, probably 2 about there maybe. Then we'll have a belt of iron and another belt of iron. Now we do our 15 odd. There. Right. Apologies, I didn't actually intend this to turn into a... This is another way of building things, but it seems to have turned into that. And we need just a little bit more in the way of that and that. So, let's assume pile sorters, iron in, copper in, output, and let's just get to the output. There we are. Now that will make 2 rows of 90 electronic circuits or circuit boards every second, assuming that we have 90 copper a second coming in, which we should have, and we will definitely have 180 iron in a second. But that will actually just go straight through until we are finished. So let's see this go. Not even flickering. Goes in, comes out, and fills that up at a great rate of knots, 180 a second. What I should do actually. Alright, let me just put down a monitor. So yeah, I'm going to put that there. And thinking about it, I should make this into a proper one, greater than or equal to. Let's just make this into a very put warmer. Where are we? Not there, it's under buildings. And this will just allow us to paste it down anywhere we need it particularly. I really need to do this bit, and ooh, we filled it up. Didn't take long, did it? If you assume something like 200 a second, close to. $180 second. Yeah. Again, we are at a nice place to be. The place which says we can't actually send this out as fast as we can make it because our drones just don't take as much. So again, you built it into the next one. What might be the next one? Say possibly into a processors build. That would be a lot of processors every second. And actually it's relatively small sized. I mean, okay, ignore the fact that it's lopsided as hell. It is relatively small sized thanks to all the dark fog toys. But you can still do very well with the old arc smelters and such like, if you don't mind going longer or multiple rows. And oh god, that really filled up fast. I think that we may want to just turn that off. And let it empty out. Not that it matters, I mean, heck, this is a sandbox game. All empty. Last items through. So very fast. This one is more consideration, like I say, for in-game, when we have just so much. Needed. But we can't go, shall we say, any faster than a certain rate. And speaking of rates, I guess that is enough on smelting and potentially chaining it into another build. Yeah, alright, I'm Whisper. This has been an interesting little bit of fun from my point of view. I hope that you learned something from it somewhere. I mean, from smelting. We haven't gone to that because that's more involved, but similar principles apply. Pretty much everything. These are the bases, and everything else sort of flows on from there. 2 seconds to make a diamond. Yeah, well, that's the thing down here if you wanted. You could even, let's see, 2 seconds to make 1 energetic graphite, and then 2 seconds for 1 to make 1 diamond. You could, quite frankly, have this as coal. There you go. There's your, what is it? That would be 3 graphite a second to 3 diamonds a second. It's all about having a bit of fun playtime. We could, for instance, turn around and adapt this. Let's just get silly here. We'll put you there, but we will delete these. Try and delete these. Come on. And let's just put down these. So what we might have might be and we might do this. In here, out there. This is not something I've actually done, so but it sort of works logically. Assuming that we want so many items like that. Everything is covered by the power poles, so yeah, totally viable option. 6 diamonds a second out, 12 coal a second in. Assuming you needed that many diamonds early game or late game, although honestly late game, that's when we start using the kimberlite. Where is the kimberlite? This one. So use that to there, yeah. Alright, definitely this is the end of my little yabba. Have a bit of a play. That's the thing about Dyson Sphere program. Experiment, play, enjoy. Make things, have fun. Heck, it doesn't have to look beautifully smooth and crisp and all over the show. Just make it spaghetti. Maybe not let's game it out levels of spaghetti, but a bit of spaghetti's fine. It happens. Well, that would be a fun thing. Let's game it out, have a game of this one. I can just imagine the blinking woven belts that he'd make. That would be so damn awesome to see. Alright, I'm Whisper, enough rabbiting. Cheers and enjoy Dyson's Sphere program.